going to a time in the future when it's springtime. It's early May. It's just the perfect time for planting. I've been excited to plant my garden. It's not a huge garden, but I've been planning it out all year. I have my composting I've been preparing and getting ready all year to make the soil nice and rich. The garden was at my house when I moved in. I feel really thankful. It's fenced in so the deer won't get at it. And there are 3 rectangle plots. A few years ago, I planted a raspberry bush in one of the rectangles, and it has flourished. That has been so much fun for the kids and I. It's an ever-bearing bush. In all of June, I feel like most of the summer, and then again at early fall, it just keeps giving us raspberries. It's so much fun to walk out any time of day and be able to pop a raspberry in our mouths. The kids love it. I do too. It feels so nice out. I've been looking forward to this. I have my wide-brimmed sun hat on that I always use in the garden. It's kind of like a straw hat. I know I look a little funny in it, but it's become my companion in the summertime. It's almost like a cowboy shape. And I have my comfy short sleeve shirt on, some loose pants. I'm ready. I open up the gate and I kneel down on a little green pad, knee pad. I don't have to plant anything in the raspberry section because that has taken over that whole section. It comes back every year. My husband was nice enough earlier to get a lot of the old weeds and plants out from last year. So I don't have a whole lot of weeding to do before I start. I do need to move a couple of blueberry bushes that I planted last year. I didn't really care for where I put them. One of the rectangles raised garden beds has strawberries in it, plants. And I'd like to put the blueberries over with the strawberries so they can just come back every year. And then I'll have one raised garden bed for the plants that I replant every year, the annuals. So I take my little shovel and I start digging up my 2 blueberry bushes. It feels good to use my muscles and bend and stretch and get down into the dirt and the earth. And I have my gardening gloves on so I don't dry out my hands. And I get them both uprooted, and I find a nice section in the strawberry plot to put them. I dig up a big hole for each of them. And I have a wheelbarrow full of composting right outside the garden, so I go over and get a little bucket of composting and put it down and around. And then I have a little bit of liquid fish fertilizer, which is the stinkiest stuff I've ever smelled, but it really helps to get plants started. So I have some of that mixed with water, and I pour some of that in, and I plant the blueberry bushes. and get all the dirt patted down around them. It's fun to dig in the dirt and see the worms and the just life. And I can see some of my little strawberry vines and plants coming up. And I'm excited for next month when we get to have strawberries. And I also have some asparagus coming up in this raised garden bed. It comes up every year, not a ton, but just enough to be exciting. My daughter loves coming out every day or two and finding another asparagus popping up. She picks it and brings it in, and we chop it up and put it in an omelet or something like that. It's just something about growing food is exciting. You never know what you're going to find when you go out. I'm kind of looking around at the strawberry garden bed, thinking about what I might do, and I have a couple of herbs I think I'd like to put in to help keep down weeds, and also just to have, I have some cilantro, so I make a little spot for that and plant it and put the little extras of composting and fertilizer with it. And I also have some spearmint, and I know these things take over, but I'm kind of crossing my fingers hoping they don't take over the strawberries. They just stay in their little section. I plant the spearmint. It smells so good. Mint and cilantro are two of my favorite herbs. I'm thinking with the cilantro of all the yummy dishes I'm going to make, especially Mexican inspired. And the mint is just such a joy to come out with the kids and eat a mint leaf on a hot summer day. There's something so nice about that. And that garden bed's looking pretty good. And I'm going to do something kind of special this year. I have a bunch of old newspapers. I've done this before and it works pretty good. I kind of line around some of the empty spots with newspapers to try to keep the weeds down and give it a barrier rather than wood chips or something like that. And it worked pretty good last time I tried that. So I do that. It's looking pretty good, ready to go. And I glance over and I remember I planted a little grapevine last year along the fence row. Wonder how it's going to do this year. It looks pretty pathetic right now. We got some grapes about the size of a pea last year before the deer got to them, so I don't know if we'll ever get to eat them. Might have to rethink where I plant them. We'll see how it goes this year. So I stand up and stretch a bit and I enjoy the sun. It feels so good out. And I look over and I hear the kids playing over at the play set in this big sandbox, and they're having a great time. They're just running all around the trees, and I see the cats running around, and it's just such a pleasant atmosphere. Now I turn around and I look at the last garden bed that needs some tending to get going. They always say around here, don't plant your tomatoes until after Mother's Day, and it's almost Mother's Day, so that's why I decided to go ahead. It's been pretty warm. I don't think we'll have another freeze. And I lay out my plants that I want to plant. I have 2 tomato plants and 2 squash, and I put them down where I want them. And I go and dig out my hole for the first tomato plant. These tomatoes I plant every year. I didn't last year. I tried a different type and I regretted it so much. So I am so looking forward to these. They're called Super Sweets. They're itty bitty red sweet tomatoes. They taste like candy. The kids and I come out here and eat them like candy. They are so delicious and they proliferate like crazy. So I'm definitely planting super sweets again this year. And I get them all planted and I go to the next one with my little green knee pad. And I start making the hole for beef steak tomatoes. There is nothing like a deep red juicy beef steak tomato slice on a BLT. I wait for one of these sandwiches in August every year, and you cannot get a tomato like this in the store. It is just amazing. So the whole reason I plant this is for that BLT sandwich in August, and I just drooling thinking about it. So I get that already. I had gone to a nursery a few days ago and I bought the starter plants, so they're already going. It's funny to me how long the beefsteak tomatoes take. I feel like I stare at them for months as they're growing because they're so big, and I keep waiting and waiting and hoping and dreaming. And then finally one day they're ready. But it is not the same with the zucchini and squash. And I move over to those. I just giggle remembering last year with the zucchini. It's almost like you glance away and you glance back and they are as big as a boat. Like, how in the world do they grow so fast? I've got to keep my eye on them better this year. So I plant a zucchini plant and scooch over and plant a yellow summer squash. I just love the delicate flavor. I put these with everything. Stir fries. I could eat these with every meal because the flavor, they don't have a strong flavor. The zucchini and the squash. And we put them with our eggs. We put them with everything. They're just such a versatile vegetable. I'm looking forward to those. And I get them all situated with their composting, fish fertilizer. I put the newspaper all around them, hugging them like little babies being tucked in. And I stand up and I look around. And I'm admiring all the wood chips my husband put between the beds to keep the weeds down. Such a nice layer. Look over at my raspberry bushes, and they're cut down a little bit to prepare for the new growth, and I'm so excited. They're starting to grow already. And I smile and I look out at the beautiful green grass that's growing. The bees are out. The apple tree it's already blossomed. I mean, things are going. I just love the growth of spring. It's such a happy, hopeful time. It makes me excited. It makes me feel strong and want to use my energy. I'm really thankful today to be able to get out and just enjoy nature. It's so nice. And I get the hose out and I have it on a nice shower spray, and I just take a moment to spray everything down really good. Give it a good watering. I find watering the garden is peaceful. I can hear the birds chirping. There's so much wildlife that's active in the springtime. I can hear the kids in the background playing, laughing. I'm just gently watering the garden, thinking about growth, new life, and hope. I hear some dogs, my neighbor's dogs barking. She has 2 little dogs. I look up and she's out there trying to wrangle them up. She's always getting onto them when they come into our yard. They just kind of make me laugh. Little yipper dogs. I just keep watering. Let the dry earth soak it all up. And I just smile gently. So nice.